Welcome back to Jet Recaps. Today I will show you a fantasy movie from 2016, titled Vanishing Time. The first scene begins with a recording of Soo Rin recounting her story. Soo Rin is a young lonely girl who lives with her stepfather. She had lost her mother earlier to a car accident. Her stepfather works as a demolition contractor. Her relationship with her stepfather is strained, as she believes he is the cause of her mother's death. And after some time, she and her stepfather move to a small island. While at her new school, she has a hard time making friends, as she is seen as a weirdo who writes weird things on her blog. However, one day, an orphan, Sungmin, approaches her in school. She is cold towards him at first, but when she recognizes his interest in her blog, the two soon cultivate a friendship. She shares a set of secret codes with him as a tool of communication with each other. And as the days go by, they grow closer as they continue to communicate using their secret code. One day, Soo Rin sees Sungmin in a hangout with his friends. He tells her they are going to a mountain to see an explosion at a tunnel construction site. And despite his friend's objections, Soo Rin insists to tag along. But on their way, one of the friends, Sang Chul, chickens out and goes back home. While Soo Rin, Sungmin, and the remaining two friends, Jae-wook and Tae-shik, continue. On arrival, they wait restlessly for the explosion to occur and decide to explore the mountain. They see a cave and they enter the cave. In the cave, they discover a glowing egg that turns dark when they touch it. They quickly crawl out of the cave with the egg. And as they deliberate about the egg's origin, Soo Rin discovers her hairpin missing. She crawls back into the cave to look for it. And Sungmin attempts to go in with her. But when his friends tease him about dating her, he stays back with them. Meanwhile, Soo Rin finds her hairpin in the cave. But as she is about to crawl out, an earthquake occurs, shaking the cave. She finally crawls out but is shocked to find the egg broken and the boys missing. Meanwhile, in the village, the boys have also been discovered missing, including Soo Rin. And as the villagers comb through the mountain in search of them, they find Soo Rin, to the relief of her stepfather. At the hospital, she recounts the story of the cave and the egg to the police, including Tae-shik's claims about the egg being a time-stealing goblin's egg according to his grandfather's story. Tae-shik's grandfather had once told him that a cave appears in the mountain during a full moon. And the goblin steals the time of anyone who enters the cave, making them old. Coincidentally, it was a full moon when they entered the cave, and broke the egg. But Soo Rin's stepfather and others believe she is making up stories, especially when she couldn't show them the cave because it has disappeared. A few days later, to everyone's dismay, they find Jae-wook's dead body in a deserted playground from the village. And the village is thrown into another confusion when the missing boys' clothes are returned by unknown persons. One day while she was alone at home, Soo Rin notices a presence. And thinking it is Sungmin, she runs after him into the bush. She is shocked and afraid when the stranger, an adult male, reveals himself. And when he introduces himself as Sungmin, she screams and runs away. Luckily, she runs into her stepfather and tells him about the stranger. The police get informed and after a thorough search, they find only a book that Soo Rin recognizes. It was the secret code communication book she shares with Sungmin. And in it, Sungmin wrote his encounter with the egg. A flashback shows that while she was still inside the cave, the others had coerced Sungmin into breaking the egg. And immediately he broke it, the time stopped and everything around them froze, including Soo Rin that was inside the cave. The three then venture into the village and at first, they have fun thinking they can now do anything they want. But they soon realize that there were things they couldn't do. They couldn't leave the island and an asthmatic Jae-wook couldn't use an inhaler as it was also frozen. And this eventually led to his death. Sungmin and Tae-shik continue to live alone in their frozen world, waiting patiently to become adults. Because according to the legend, the time is meant to unfreeze when they become adults. But having come of age for so many years and they were still stuck, they gave up. However, one fateful day, Sungmin wakes up and notices a change in the moon. Excited and feeling positive, he goes into the house to tell Tae-shik. But Tae-shik had gone missing. He looks for him all over the island to no avail. But one day, he discovers that Tae-shik had committed suicide by jumping into the frozen ocean. Feeling depressed and alone, Sungmin also attempted suicide by jumping into the ocean. But he wakes up to discover that he has been washed ashore and the time is back to normal. On reading his story, Soo Rin finally believes the stranger is Sungmin. And afterward, she visits him at their hideout to tell him that she believes him. She also vows to help him convince the villagers that he is Sungmin. and they begin to devise a plan. Seungmin, having being separated from the real world for so long, finds it traumatizing to adjust. But Soo-rin tries her best to help him by teaching and grooming him. And she also helps him memorize events from the past that he had forgotten. One day, Soo-rin approaches Sang-chul, who had gone back home on their way to the mountain, and tries to convince him that Seungmin is still alive. But Sang-chul disbelieves her claims and walks away angrily. Meanwhile, detectives had come across strange CCTV footage of Seungmin and blacklisted him. One night, Soo-rin finds a scared Seungmin in her room. And to drive his fears, she let him stay in her room, holding his hands. They were almost caught the next morning when her stepfather checked in on her. But he leaves to work later. And on his way to work, he gets accosted by Sang-chul's father and Tae-shik's parents. Because of what Soo-rin had told Sang-chul. He tries to convince them that Soo-rin is only sick and making up stories. But they accuse him of protecting her. Because they believe the boy's disappearance was a result of the explosion caused by his company. Angry, he goes back home, and after locking her up, he leaves to work. On his way, he goes through her phone. And he is shocked to see a picture of an adult Seungmin with Soo-rin. But when he rushes back home, he finds the door unlocked and Soo-rin gone. Meanwhile, Soo-rin had earlier been broken out by Seungmin. And since no one believes their story, they attempt to flee the island together. But Soo-rin's stepfather catches them as they prepare to leave. He hits Seungmin on the head and this leads to a fight. Finally, they escape from him, but sooner than later, the police become hot on their trail. As they believe Seungmin is a child murderer and a pedophile. And that Soo-rin has been deluded by him. Unfortunately, Seungmin gets separated from Soo-rin as the police get closer. And Soo-rin is taken into custody by the police. In custody, all attempts to convince them that the stranger is Seungmin fails. So she finds a way and escape into the mountain. Coincidentally, there was a full moon and on seeing the cave, she crawls right in. She sees another glowing egg and picks it up in an attempt to freeze time. So that she can return to Seungmin as an adult. But when she crawls out of the cave, Seungmin, knowing her intentions, takes the egg. He argues that he is willing to spend time in prison than allow her to sacrifice her childhood. As they argue, the police close in on them. And in the course of confrontation and arrest, Soo-rin falls over a cliff. The movie comes to an end as Soo-rin wakes up on the seashore and then she realizes that Seungmin had stopped time again to save her. Fortunately, after a while, she finds him again on a ferry. If you enjoyed this recap, kindly like and subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon. Do let us know what you think about the movie in the comment section below. Enjoy other movie explanations on our channel. Thanks for watching.